This award lets me know that
Bienvenue, Waning, Bienvenidos, Bienvenita, Namaste, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemmological storyteller. And each week, I get the wonderful opportunity to take you on an adventure. To places you've never been before, to hear stories you've never heard before. Each week, I get to take the art, science, history, and magic, gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry, and put them all together into a story. The whole history of mankind revolves around gemstones and precious metals and fine jewelry. If there's nothing else in the world that we all as human beings agree on is the value of a gemstone. So what I do is I take those gemstones and I use them as a template, as an inception point, as a bridge to help people, to empower people, and oftentimes to remind people to take time to discover the value of their own stories, of who you are, and how what you are and the energy and who you are as a person resonates with the light. You can learn so much from gemstones. Just the thing I love about gemology is the beauty of it is fine, the elegance of it, the way it looks, but when you really understand what it is and where it comes from and what it had to do to get there, then you can see the analogy. You can begin to see why people all over the world for a beginning of time have loved gemstones. They relate to it on a whole different level. I've been doing it. I will never forget all the people, especially the women who would look at that. Remember that story a long time ago? The first person I ever saw bought a diamond tennis bracelet. She looked at her arm like it was just a brand new arm. It was the most amazing thing you can possibly imagine. And that's because she related to that gemstone. And what I found out is if you can relate to it as you're looking at it, then when you look at the reasons why, then you begin to understand. You begin to understand the reason why people, because something inside of us understands that story. This is a story that is from the beginning of time. Gemstones are made up of atoms. They're made up of elements. The same elements that's inside of us are inside of a gemstone. So there's a relationship. I know gemstones are not living. They're inorganic and we are organic, but the things that we're made out of is the same things that gemstones are made out of. The same things. And when you begin to see how gemstones are made, what gemstones have meant, how did gemstone become so valuable, what happened to gemstones, not only just the gemstones, but the people around it, the people who dug it up, the people who wear it, then you see the synergy. For instance, when you look at a amethyst, when you look at amethyst, look at it. This is amethyst. And when you look at amethyst and it's so beautiful to look at, but that's only part of the story. In fact, amethyst, this is the title of this show is Amethyst, the Quiet and Magnificent Satisfaction of Being Who You Are. I mean, that's a deep title. The quiet and magnificent satisfaction of being who you are. who you are. Think about that for a moment. When you look at amethyst, and for those of you who need a reminder, this is the gemstone for February. This is next to the last day. This would have been the last day, the 28th, but this is the last day of February. Anyone born in this month, their gemstone is amethyst. And you have to understand what amethyst is. And amethyst is really truly a rags to riches to rags story. It is. It's so much deeper than just what you see. Amethyst comes from nothing. When I say rags, I'm talking about nothing. This is what amethyst is. Amethyst is sand. It's quartz. It's for those of you who are more scientific oriented, it's silicon dioxide. That's it. That's what amethyst is made out of. I like to tell you, and I've told you in the show before, these are two of the most abundant elements in the universe. Well, mostly on Earth, 1, 2. Oxygen is number 1, silicon is number 2. In the universe, silicon is like number 9 in the whole universe, and oxygen is like 20 in the universe. So we're talking about the quintessential word for ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Every beach you walked on, you basically was walking on silicon dioxide if you was on the beach. That's it. That's what amethyst is made out of. There's 8 billion people on the planet. Think about how many billions and trillions of molecules of amethyst that's there. Think about it. Amethyst. That's what it's made of. Sand. Sand. That's amethyst. You get that. From that becomes that. Look at that ring. Look at the beauty of it. Look at and you notice how amethyst has what's called color zoning. You see the dark and light places in amethyst. Because amethyst, basically, this is it. This is what amethyst is quartz, where just the top, it is the purple variety of quartz. Silicon dioxide. And what makes amethyst different is that amethyst has iron, is the primary coloring agent. And the thing that gives that color, that its intensity, is different elements, but oftentimes it's manganese that will change the intensity of it. Sand, with just a hint. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking about molecules. I'm talking about 1 million silicon dioxide molecules to every maybe 5 iron, 2 or 3 manganese or some kind of element. So just a hint, just a touch of what it is inside the molecular structure. And if you don't have that, you get this. This is what amethyst looks like without the iron and manganese in it. It's clear, it's transparent. It's transparent. It's called rock crystal. Rock crystal. That's what it looks like. If you facet it, a rock crystal, that's what it looks like. And so what amethyst is the purple variety of that. That's what it looks like in its rough form. You see how it's more transparent towards the base in the middle and only the tips. That's how amethyst works. Many of you own geodes, and look at the geodes. That's what you see. And it becomes that. And when you think about what amethyst is, that amethyst has been around for thousands of years. I mean, thousands of years, 25,000. The earliest discovery of amethyst was in was in pieces that Neolithic, people from my family, no, I'm more Cro-Magnon, but Neolithic man, 25,000 BC. That's what they had amethyst. They understood, they valued the amethyst from the very beginnings. Amethyst is not just amethyst is one of those old gemstones. In fact, amethyst is stone number 9 in the breastplate of the high priestess high priest in the Bible. Number 9 is amethyst. It's in the Bible, and it comes from this. It comes from sand. From nothing, come from something that's everywhere on the planet. It becomes this when you put iron and manganese or some other kind of element, but mostly iron in it. You see how it's white on the outside, and just towards the top, you have the color. And then that color, and you see how the color is shaped in different types of forms and structures. Ancient man saw that. The Romans saw that. And what makes it really deep, I said, is a rags to riches. What really makes it deep is amethyst was so highly valued that amethyst was a cardinal stone. It was a cardinal stone, meaning that when I say cardinal stone, those are the big ones. Those are the big 5 stones: diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires. Diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, and of course pearls. Can't forget pearls. Pearls, in fact, pearls have suffered a similar fate that amethyst suffered because of what happened. We'll talk about how I feel about pearls. So we're going to leave that for another day. But those are the big 5: diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, pearls, and once upon a time, amethyst. Amethyst was in there. The Egyptians used amethyst for their amulets. They knew that they had healing powers. In fact, that was a royal color. All the monarchs from way back, we're talking about 1-2 century BC, understood amethyst. They understood where it came from. They understood how rare it was. They used it in their amulets, in their jewelry, in their pieces, because of the power it gave. It spoke to the royals, to the people, the kings and queens and the emperors. It spoke to them. It said in that color, there was something about that color that just manifests these feelings of a connection to a higher power for thousands of years. In fact, it was everywhere. Look at all the different places. Look at the cultures: England, Rome, everywhere. It's in every culture in the world. Every culture in the world. Look where it comes from. Look at all the places that amethyst comes from. It's amazing. It's amazing. Amethyst. This is what that gemstone. In fact, let me tell you the story of amethyst. The story of amethyst comes from a book that I am writing. I'm in the process. Oh, here it goes, right here. This is the book that I'm translating. I've been trying to translate this for a minute now. About halfway through. This is a 500-year-old French text from a man called Remy Belleau. Remy Belleau was a French poet from the beginning of the French Renaissance. And what him and some of about 5 or 6 other poets, they got together and they wanted to elevate the French language to a higher level. So what they did was got together and wrote poetry about simple things, about just simple. And Remy Belleau wrote about gemstones. He wrote about gemstones, and one of the stories that he wrote was about amethyst. And the legend of amethyst comes from Roman mythology, whereas the god of wine, although the Greeks have a version of it as well, but the god of wine, Bacchus, who was, he was drunk all the time. He was already pissed off at some human who dared insult him. I think the human compared what humans can do to gods, and Bacchus was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. Bacchus came from, my part of town. I'm tired of this. I tell you what I'm gonna do. The next human that walks down that path, I'm gonna get my 2 guardian tigers to just jump on. I don't care who it is. And he just waited. He just sat there and just drank and just wait. Like, yeah, we're gonna get them. And after a while, this beautiful young maiden walks down the trail. She was beautiful. She was chaste. She was just pure in thoughts and just her feelings. And she was going to pay homage to the goddess Diana. And, I just imagine this little girl just skipping down the road, and, 13, 14 years old. And she saw Bacchus and she didn't really pay attention to him. And he already felt slighted before. So now this really got to him. So he told the tigers, just get him. And as the tigers were coming to jump on her and just devour her, Diana was like, what are you doing? And she changed this little girl, this young woman, into a crystalline structure. A crystalline structure. Now, there's 2 stories to what Bacchus did. One story is Bacchus both of them, he felt very, very bad about what he did. He couldn't believe that he let the alcohol do the talking and made him do something stupid. So what he did was he honored her by pouring wine on her crystalline structure body. But the other story that I like is that Bacchus cried. He cried, and because he was the god of wine, he sobbed, and his tears were purple because he was the god of wine. So, and his tears fell on this young woman who was now a crystalline structure, and the name of the young woman is Amethyst, and that's where amethyst comes from. That's the story of Amethyst. So, I mean, when you talk about amethyst, you're talking about the stone. One of the stones. Amethyst could hold its own long before diamonds actually happened. Diamonds came later on. The amethyst was check out all the jewelry and gold. And that if you've ever been to royal jewelry, there's amethyst in a whole bunch of pieces. Amethyst. Beautiful. Beautiful, just the elegance of it. Look at it. Amethyst is a calming stone because it's quartz, but it's a very calming and spiritual stone. Amethyst is a stone of protection. People felt protected. People felt not just protected from outside forces, but protected, spiritual protection. Some cultures believe that amethyst gave them spiritual awareness and protection. And there was a calming spirit to amethyst. Royalty. If you were royalty, you had amethyst. Look at Queen Elizabeth. Look at Queen Elizabeth. I mean, I just imagine her saying, someone coming to her, one of her servants saying, Your Majesty, we have found a amethyst mine. And she said, oh, that's very, very good. Very good. Just make sure I have one request. What is that, my queen? I want all the biggest pieces. Every woman watching this show right now can understand that. Like, yeah, if I was the queen, that's what I'd get. Look at, the woman is draped in it. Draped in it. My God. My God. Just standing there, just like, yeah, hi, it's Tuesday. Okay. And that's not the beginning of it. There's a piece that I discovered called the Napoleonic Amethyst Pailleur. The Napoleonic Amethyst Pailleur. And this is that crown. This is the tiara, a crown that Empress Josephine, she had this made because, Napoleon hooked her up. Okay, Napoleon hooked her up. She had everything. I don't know what that movie was talking about, but Napoleon, yeah, he definitely loved her. And Josephine did appreciate it. And this was one of her pieces. This is one of her pieces that was passed down. This was passed when she when Napoleon got exiled there, she passed it on to her other relatives that were also royalty. So she passed it on, and this is what it looks like today. This is it. This is the piece. And what tripped me out was these are different queens from different monarchies. One's from Sweden, one's from Holland, and everything. And they all wearing this crown. And the first thing I thought about was like, women can share anything. I can just imagine some woman coming, it got to be your B B B B B F F F F, okay? And it's just like, girl, I got to go out tonight. Let me borrow that tiara. What tiara? The tiara, girl, the amethyst one. Girl, you can't have, come on, please, please. Oh, all right, but I swear, if one thing happened to it, you're done. Okay, all right, and we got it. You got it. Just imagine, that's your headpiece. Okay, that's your headpiece. Amethyst. Amethyst, just not and diamonds, but amethyst and diamonds. That's all that was. And I'm sure in a platinum setting. Amethyst. That's what amethyst is. And then, it reached the highest of heights. The highest of heights. Amethyst was only for royals. And then from out of nowhere, boom, it fell. They found huge deposits, huge deposits in Brazil in the 19th century. And because of that, because there was so much of it, and now it no longer was, remember the four elements that a gemstone has to be? It has to be rare, it has to be beautiful, it has to be durable, and it has to be desirable. Well, the beauty it has, the desirability, everybody, if you was a noble, you wanted that stone. The durability, amethyst is a 7 out of 10. So it's a pretty durable stone. But the rarity was gone. It wasn't rare anymore. So it dropped. It didn't have the same value. This is where you can make the connection. Some of us understand exactly what I'm talking about within themselves. You read about it all the time. You see it on television, you see it on everywhere, media, social media, everywhere. People who had reached the highest of heights in acting, in medicine, whatever the field. And for whatever reason, they weren't valued anymore. There was too much of it. Many of us go through that. Many of us who, in our 50s and 60s and later on, that's how we feel. Like, do we ask that question? Do we still have value? People don't value ourselves. And yet we know when how many of us watching this show have filled out resumes? A good friend of mine, one of my clients' mother just asked me just today, about wanting a new job, and she has amazing talent. Amazing talent. And I'll just put it out there. I won't say a name, but just human resources. If you're looking for a human resources person, send me a text. This woman is awesome. And I'm honored to teach her child. But yeah, value. The story changed. The story changed. It was no longer, even though it was and still is, but in many people's minds, because it was no longer the stone of value, the stone that only kings and queens had, or nobles and knights and princesses. Now, because it wasn't that stone, because everybody's like, yo, we got amethyst for sale, amethyst. Some of you have those big gems in your house, huge gems in your house. It's like it has a whole section. The story changed. And because the story changed, because it was no longer what people used to think of it. You know, if amethyst was the ninth stone or any stone on the breastplate of the high priest in the Bible, you know it had value. There's no scripture in the Bible except maybe what the David and Goliath that somebody just took a rock and that rock became. No, at least that, and Lord knows I don't know the Bible, but you correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm sure that a rock in the Bible didn't have the same value for most people as a gemstone. And because that story changed, here's the price of that. Here's the price of amethyst right now. This is a website, the International Gemmological Society. This is the price. This is the price of amethyst. Look at it. 3 to 4 carats, $4 to $15. This is the gemstone that kings and queens only would wear. Now you can get a 3 carat for $4, depending on the quality, $4 to $15. Even at the high end, $68. $68. It changed. Now this is like sand again. That's what you know you are more, but that's what society makes you feel like. You just feel like you're just out there. These are your resumes. These are all the places you look for a job. These are all the days and months that the things, and all you can do is remember back in the day, remember once upon a time. That's what amethyst is. Amethyst is now considered to be a semi-precious stone. Semi-precious. It's no longer part of the team. It's no longer diamonds, rubies, and emeralds, and sapphires. It's no longer part of the team. It's just a semi-precious stone. I want to thank you, those of you watching today, and those who continue to watch. I want to thank you because this is the reason why I didn't do a show for a couple of weeks, because it just hit me what amethyst is. I've been doing this show for 3 years, going on 4 years now. So this is the 3rd February that I've talked about amethyst, and I've talked about amethyst, and I never really understood amethyst on this level. That this is what amethyst is. This is how society and people in your family can make you feel like you're just a grain of sand. That you're just you're just a rough gemstone in a sea of rough gemstones that nobody can't tell the difference of what you are. You just, there's not lots, but there's about 3 or 4 different gemstones that amethyst that can mimic amethyst or have a color similar to amethyst. Yeah. That's what amethyst is. And the reason why I entitled this show The Quiet and Magnificent Satisfaction of being who you are is because in my mind, I imagine what amethyst, if amethyst was human, based on what I see, the way I see amethyst is valued, and the way amethyst is still seen, it's just not valued at that level, but people still love the color purple, then if amethyst was a person, amethyst would need to know that. Amethyst would need to understand what amethyst is, how amethyst was made. This gemstone took millions of years to form, millions. This gemstone came from sand, and it just so happens in all the sand, when continents were moving and land masses and things like that sand, that silicon dioxide just happened to be in the same neighborhood as iron. Remember I said parts per million iron that changed the color of it. They gave it a structure, the heat, the pressure, it gave it a structure. There's a certain type of, even though amethyst can be found everywhere in the world, there are different levels, different qualities of amethyst, but the basic composition is the same. So ultimately, the amethyst has to understand what it is. That's what this show is about. Every week, this is what this show is about. Understanding the value of who you are. Because you know, when you think back in your mind, you know, you remember, I don't care if when you was 5, you remember once upon a time when you felt that feeling about yourself. It might have been a long time. It might not even it might even be this decade. It might have been when you were a kid, a teenager, a young adult, in college, when you first got married, something. When you knew what you were, you felt it. You walked down the street, you opened up your office, you was just like, yes. Remember when you opened up that business the first day? Or when you held your baby in your arms? When you looked at your son and you looked at your daughter and you had so much hope for them. Remember when you looked at yourself in the mirror and you had so much hope in who you wanted to be? That's what amethyst is. That's what amethyst is a representation of. It is that hope. It is that memory. It is that, I say inception point every week. Inception point is that thought. Remember, those of you who saw the movie Inception, you got to see it. But the basic concept of it is a thought. There is nothing more powerful than an idea, than a story that's in your mind. And sometimes you have to go back to remember that story. That's what this is about. Those who are watching this today, if you didn't know the story of amethyst, now you know. Amethyst is not just a semi-precious stone. Amethyst is a stone of queens, a stone of kings. When there was great conquests and great treaties and great negotiations and dowries and things, I don't care if you were Buddhist or Jewish or Muslim or Christian, somebody was wearing amethyst. Somebody understood, everybody understood the value of what that is. That's what you have to remind yourself. I don't care if the whole planet thinks that you are semi-precious. You remember when you were precious, important. If nobody else, to your son, to your daughter, to your husband, to your wife, to your partner, to your animal. That's what they don't see you as just that. They understand that even though there are 4 billion women out there on the planet, you are mom, you are my wife, you are my sister, you are my colleague, you are my business partner. You are you. I think it's apropos that amethyst is the gemstone of purity. Purity. It's a gemstones. The Romans believed that if you wore amethyst, you could drink a barrel of wine and never get drunk. You would see, you would have visions, you would understand things because of the purity of that stone. That's what amethyst is. And they believed that. And you know why I know they believe that? Because they got books on it everywhere and jewelry and pieces and you can talk about Cleopatra, you can talk about Napoleon, you can talk about all the Habsburgs and all the kings and queens, Isabella and Ferdinand. That's what they wanted. That's what they wore. Amethyst. And as I was going through it, looking at it and just realizing, I was just like, how wonderful it is to get to the point in your life where you just know who you are. Oh, oh, I thank God every single day for just allowing me to get to this point. And that's what I want to help people get to. There might be a lot of people that don't like you, or you not doing the things that other people have told you to do, or other people have suggested, or other people want you to do. But when you get to the point where you know who you are, you can just be quiet about it. You can just be settled about it. You just know. You know your journey. You know where you came from. You know what it took to make you. You know how rare you are. You're still rare. You're still a gemstone. There's still all that sand, and yet it made this. It made this. It became this. This is who you are. This is who you were, and all you have to do is remind yourself that once upon a time. Now you see how that word, that term is a time machine. That's why it's all about stories, because once you understand that story, once that story is, you find it in your head, in your spirit. I don't care if it was when you was in third grade and you caught the winning catch, or you made the best cake or whatever. Remember that and see who you are. See who you are. Amethyst got thousands of years, thousands. It wasn't until the 19th century, that they said, hey, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, it's not worth as much. And you see the queens, and Queen Elizabeth didn't stop her, did it? But somebody told you that it was a semi-precious stone. You was like, what, okay. Amethyst. Even that story about Amethyst, the young maiden walking down this, she was beautiful. She was pure of heart and spirit, to the point with a God who was already angry at mortals just cried, because even though he felt that way about mortals, he realized that that's not who she was. She was more. She was amethyst. He cried. He cried. Look at it. It's not uniform color. You can see the darkness. You can see but look at the color. Look at the way the color rises. It's amethyst. It's not a rock crystal. It's not transparent. Look at it. When you can begin to see the faceting, the difference between that one, that gemstone, and this one. Same gemstone, but you're different and unique in its own way. Amethyst. That's who you are. Whether you were born this month or not, this is who you are. Those of you who love this gemstone, that's part of the reason why you love it, because it is you. There's so many women in the world, and so many women watching this program who understand what it means to come from nothing, develop yourself, and sometimes life happen and you feel like you're sand, but no, you're not sand. You are still that gemstone that had to go through that process and to become that. That's who you are. You are amethyst. You are something beautiful. You are something, those of you who are moms and sisters and who protect, who ward off evil spirits. Those of you who have problems with substance abuse. Amethyst is a stone, whatever it takes to get you to stop, to get you to value yourself, to stop. Maybe amethyst is that stone for you. And if you believe it, just like the Romans did, just like the Egyptians did, just like everybody did, if you believe it, if it becomes a story in your heart, in your mind, then it happens. That's what As a Man Thinketh talks about. Very soon, so altered has her mind become that the workshop could no longer hold her. Amethyst. So think about the story. Think about where you were. Think about where you want to be. Use where you were before, and to empower you to become what you want to become. And if you're already there, if you can look back at your life just right here, right now, like in Zen, the only thing that matters is the here and now. Let me make it simple for you. If you got a place to eat, a place to live, food to eat, a place to live, if you got somebody who loves you, if you are healthy or survived something and made it, and we all know someone. I just found out someone died today. That they died 2 years ago, and I didn't even know it. And I asked her, "How's your husband?" She said, "He died." I'm like, "Oh my God." Beautiful man. We all know that. Amethyst. Think about where they came from. Think about the things that they had gone through to become the beautiful gemstone in your life. Think about the person who everybody else saw you as not just a lump of clay, but sand. They just saw you. I have people in my life that have loved me when I thought I was nothing but sand. They reminded me where I was, who I am. Once upon a time. Once upon a time. That's what it is. That's what I want you to get out of today. I want you to understand that. I want you to feel that. I want you to understand that it's okay that wherever you came from, it's okay that it was hard. It's okay the rough. It's okay. It's not okay, but you can, whatever you are in right now, whatever's going on for you in your life right now, you can get through that. And amethyst, it's just one way. Amethyst is just one way of showing you what's possible. How you can discover the value of your own story. So I hope today was worth the wait. Thank you again so much for honoring me for watching this show. As always, my name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a Gemmological Storyteller. And I just really, truly hope that if nothing else I do in my life, I get as many people as possible to discover the value of their own stories. So until next week, au revoir, à te tella, voilà.